I'm not a guy who loves to watch trailers, but we saw the preview of it a few times in the theater because we've made it early now a couple times. Usually we're cutting it close with movies, man, but it's like we're what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know what I'm trying to say. There's a word I'm missing. But
what are you trying to say?
We're known for that. We're known for that.
Notorious.
Notorious. There you go. We're notorious for that. Ominous was coming in my mind. Like, what am I thinking? But yeah, notorious for showing up super late. But we've been early, so we saw the previews, which Brayden brought up a good point. We wish we wouldn't have, because this movie is supposed to be a plot twist movie, and of course they just showed the entire plot twist in the trailer right away. You know what I mean? That's something Blumhouse is known to do.
They don't even do the trailer. Everything from the trailer is in the third act of the movie.
Yeah.
It's like kind of insane.
That's Blumhouse. Like, I love Blumhouse. Like, I Jason, if you're watching this, you're not, get me in a film. Like, I love Blumhouse. I think they're awesome.
Yo, by the dark room.
And so he's amazing. And he's, Blumhouse, like, is either a big hit or a big miss. And they've been hitting a lot more than missing recently, so they're kind of getting momentum here. And I think this was a hit. I think that they did a decent job with it. Basically, it's a story about this guy, this family. It's a husband, wife, and a daughter, and they meet this other husband and wife on a vacation in, I believe it was Italy, and then they eventually go visit them back at their country. I forgot where they live. Are they? Well, what are they? Where do they live?
Daughter.
Yeah, something. I don't know. They live in another country, while the other couple is from France. So anyway, so they go visit London. Sorry. So anyway, they go visit these people, and it just basically it kind of turns into like Midsommar, kind of. You know what I mean? It's like stuff just starts happening, and then we realize that
very A24 vibey.
Yeah, I like that. A24 is yeah, that's actually a good point. I don't know why A24 didn't pick this up. Because Blumhouse is like mine, and rightfully so. It's a really good story. So yeah. Anyways, they eventually, spoiler alert, the family it turns out to be psychotic, and there's some pretty cool plot twists within it. So I just feel like Brayden was saying in the trailer, like why are you gonna spoil the entire film? This could have been like a Sixth Sense movie. You know what I'm saying? Where at the end it's like, I see dead people. It's like, oh, you're dead too, dude. Oh wow. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that. It was like we knew what it was the whole time, which it still was impactful because, like I said, there's little moments and storylines within it and plot twists that are surprising. But for a lot of it, it just, we kind of knew what was happening. So it was kind of along for the ride. Brayden, what were your expectations going into it, man? You're the one that really wanted to see this film.
I really like James McAvoy. I think Bro is like one of the most underrated actors of our generation, but he is like fantastic. One of my favorites. I love horror. And just the vibe itself seemed really cool. And, like, when I seen him talk about it, it's like he was comparing it to his other characters and how his other characters are, like, not intended to be bad people. Like, they're not actually bad people. Like, they're just, like, psychotic. Like, they have mental diseases, things like that. This guy was genuinely, like, an evil person at heart. You know what I mean? That's what I'm trying to say. It's like, even though his other characters were bad, they weren't evil. Like, this guy is evil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I was very excited to see the movie. And even in, like, the opening shots, like, I loved how they opened the movie with the kid in the background. I loved the shots. Like, me and Logan at the same time, when they did, like, the big landscape shot, we both went, oh, shit. Like, it was beautiful. Like, it was beautiful. So, yeah, I had pretty high expectations going into it, I'd say.
Yeah, the visuals in this film were amazing. And it was like that throughout. Like a lot of the, like you said, like there's placement of like jump scares that were really good. There was like it's weird. It didn't feel like Blumhouse has done a lot of stereotypical horror in a lot of their films. With like this cheap jump scares, like you had what was that one, the Boogeyman? You know what I'm saying? Like kind of like that kind of vibe where it's like just so stereotypical with horror. That it just like it might be good, but it just kind of gets repetitive, and you know what's gonna happen. This is a movie that it was so unpredictable, everything down to the jump scares and the shots and the characters and their development. And so yeah, Brayden's right. I think that they just did a really good job with the visuals and all that. I think the first and second act of this movie are really, really solid. I loved it, man. I thought The characters were super intriguing. I loved the dynamic of the dad. I thought the dad was a great character before they ruined him in the third act. And
We're
there was
talking about
some
the main family.
Yeah, the main family here. I really liked what they did with them and their whole thing. And then you have the then of course you got the psychotic family as well. And to see kind of their slow descent into what they're doing. But yeah, that we can kind of talk about that. The first and second act of this movie, I feel like I would probably rate this movie a 9.2, 9.3. You know what I mean? Just based off those two acts. Like they're incredible. Like the pacing, like Brayden, you talked about it. There were some really uncomfortable moments where you're just like, oh my god, like what are
It felt like
weird.
Hereditary in those moments where I was just sitting in my chair and I was like, ugh. But it felt like, and I'm somebody, because I know you're not the hugest fan of that movie, but I love Hereditary. You know what I mean? So it's like I'm not even trying to shit on it in a bad way. This movie, like in the uncomfortable moments, it didn't feel like forced. Like it didn't feel like it was trying to be uncomfortably weird, like some demonic shit was going on. Like it literally just felt like these people were just like literally so fucking insane and like just weird that it felt weird and uncomfortable. You know what I mean? You could feel the tension.
Well, that's a really good point. I think that they because Hereditary, that's a whole other conversation, but but you are right. The good parts of Hereditary I really liked is what they incorporated in this film.
Yeah.
And we're referring to that eeriness, you know what I'm saying? That A24, classic A24 eeriness that they have in all those films, which is why that comparison was really great. That's a great way to describe this movie. And it's like I felt like a big budget A24, but like you said, my big problem with Hereditary is it just felt like it was weird to be weird at some points, and this is a movie that wasn't that way at all. I think that's why I really appreciated it. It felt grounded. It felt like its own thing. It felt like everything that happened and that they did and the choices that they made when it came to the writing and plot points and the shots and jump scares, it all made sense for the story. And that's what I really, really liked about it. Like I said, specifically in the first and second act, I'm with you there.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's exactly like leading into the third act. That was the problem with what I was telling you. I feel like they delivered such an excellent upbringing of the first and second act. Like it was different. It was slow but engaging. And it didn't feel like a waste, and it felt like perfectly set up, and it just felt like going into the third act that we were about to get this crazy, I don't know, like this certain way of how things were going to be done, this crazy explosion of action and, emotion and all that. And I just feel like that's where part of the disappointment came from going into the third act.
Yeah.
Because I felt like it was paced perfectly up until that point. It's not even the pacing that was bad in the third act. You know what I mean? I just think it was like they had done the right steps to get to the third act, and just like the execution at the end was just like.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's start out by talking about the characters. The dad character in this movie is a character that we all relate to. Every man will relate to. Not the crazy, not James McAvoy character, but the other guy. Here, take that out. It's everything that a normal dad would do. Like this girl wanted her stupid stuffed animal, and she wanted it so bad that they had to go back. They literally leave. They leave the house because everything's so weird. They go back and for this stupid stuffed animal, and then there's like three other instances. Yeah, there's like three other instances, bro, where like they go back and they risk their lives and themselves for this stupid bunny because she has this anxiety and whatever, this connection to this animal. That's a stuffed animal. That's a whole other thing. But there's like a moment where they're in the car and they're leaving, and the mom's like, "Hey, we need to go back," and he's like, "She's 12 years old. She doesn't need a stupid stuffed animal." And that's like, there's no reason to go back to danger and risk your lives for a stupid bunny. Like, this is come on, I don't care if she's having an anxiety attack or not. You need to, as a parent, you should know what to do with an anxiety attack. She doesn't, and also her having to rely on this animal for the anxiety is not going to help her in the long run anyway. That's horrible parenting. So you need to get past that.
Yeah. You know what's really bothersome, not to cut you off?
No,
it's
dude.
like, I don't know why I'm thinking about this. Like, I think the problem with the third act is it, like the scene in the bathroom, right, where they get them to go to the bathroom. I think the problem is why it's hard to just be like, because when I was talking to you about in the car, I was like, it's not a bad third act. It's just not what I wanted. And I feel like a prime example of that is when they're in the bathroom, right? They do react completely logically at some parts. Like when she brings her into the bathroom and she like, she tries to make the period excuse. That was smart. They get into the bathroom. She shows her the pictures and she's like, okay, holy shit, we need to just be normal. Like that was like the one time I really liked the mom. You know what
Yep.
I mean? Because
Yep.
I'll get to her character in a minute, and she's a great actress because she was really, no offense, a really unlikable character.
She was great.
Fantastic job. But that was like the one part she like literally was like she was like but I can't. She was like no, listen, you're going to give us away if you react like that. Like we just need to be normal and get out of here. And that was like one part of the film like that was like the one like, and I tell you because that was probably the beginning of the third act. I told Logan straight up, and no spoilers obviously or spoiler warning. I really liked that part because it was like they all came, like they got the dad. The dad was in on it. They knew like the other kid, like they were gonna have to come back and save him. They like come out. Nobody's acting weird. They're like, let's go. They get outside. The tires popped. Of course, we know he did it, but he's like, I'll fix it up. They fix it up. Nothing happens. Everyone's acting normal still. Then they're like, he's like hinting. He's like, where's you sure you got everything? Are you sure you got everything? We look up and we see the bunny, and it's like, oh, okay, someone's got to go up there and get it. Of course, we know who probably put it up there. But he gets up there, we have the scare. They come down. He makes the whole thing uncomfortable. James McAvoy's character. They get in the car and they start to leave. I'm a fan of this so far. I like this execution of the beginning of this third act. This is okay. You know what I mean? I like they're leaving. It's you can just because you can tell something is being led up to this point. Like I felt like it was going to be something at the car rather than them getting in the car and going. They're starting to get down, the gates open. I'm like, okay. Out of nowhere, we just see the little boy get pushed into the water. Boom. Then they start freaking out. The little girl finally breaks character. She's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. They stop right before the gate. This is where you lose me in the film. You had such a good execution, whereas we just needed you. The logical choice is to continue forward, obviously, right? Now, I understand trying to have that whole hero mentality. They have the dad get out of the car. He goes to save the kid. They're so focused on the kid that they don't drive forward. They close the gate before it's too late. I mean, I would have probably just tried to ram that John, but at the same time, I get it. So he gets the kid out of the water. They come down. They got the gun. He's like, follow us. Then, even like the bank account thing, I'm kind of a fan. They got them in like the house, they're talking about like he transfers like 200 grand over. They're sitting up like they're there. They all make like the fight. They get out, they lock the door. I'm like, yes, logical family.
Yep.
You beat their ass, you lock them in, get out now.
Yep.
Then the fucking sous chef from earlier ends up being right there and he starts shooting at them. They took one shot to the car, they back up, and they drive right back to where they fucking came from. This is the decline of the movie, right here. That was the first illogical choice, and it set the precedent for the rest of the third act. I promise. Because all they had to do, put your head down, continue to swear, boom, 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 maybe hit the guy. Do anything, except for go back. They go back, they run inside, think they got the landline, he goes in, unlocks the people. Now we got a manhunt. It felt like this moment in the game, in the movie, felt like a game to me. It felt like Leatherface, the new Leatherface game. Because you have like the three bad guys roaming around, and then you have your group of people.
Yeah.
And it's like, I even said I really liked how I was telling Logan where they come in from the different entrances and the exits. And it felt like they were being closed in on, but it was just like little things that were happening and that ended up like that could have expanded on more and had more potential didn't end up happening. And I feel like that's what took the quality down for me and Logan. Well, I don't know about you. I just felt like, at least for me especially, we were talking about the scene in the closet where he's the dad sitting in the closet waiting for like the chef to come up, and he sees the family and he goes to shoot at them and misses, and he comes out of the closet
Oh, no. By the way, takes him 15 seconds to come out of the closet.
Yeah,
that's what I don't get.
After he shoots, yeah.
Like, after he shoots, and it's like 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, he waits. I'm like, dog, he just shot at your family. He has another bullet. Go out now. What are you doing?
Yep. So he goes out. They, like, literally, he pushes him to the floor, misses with the hammer. They wrestle on the floor. The chef gets on top of him, about to put him through glass. The wife comes out, takes a hammer, and kills the guy in one hit. Here's the problem with this film right here. They took their two stories, and I feel like they set up an arc for each other, and then they each took each other's ending for what the arc should have been. So throughout the movie, we kind of can see in the relationship that the husband, he doesn't really seem to be as involved. Like, the wife is like, she had a cheating affair, and it was just through text. She's she's on her phone. She doesn't satisfy him like with sexual stuff. You know what I mean? They have a kid. She's not happy with where she's at. He isn't receiving the love that he wants. He doesn't feel complete with his life. He feels like something's holding him back, and he's not happy. So we get through the whole movie of where it's like, she's very particular about things. She wants it this way. She wants it this way. This is why I said she did a great job. She wants it this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, and always gives her husband shit for it. He's just always constantly doing the logical thing and just trying to please people, but it's never enough. And so I feel like how they build it throughout is that she constantly gets more like, not shut down in a bad way, but shut down and more open to trying other things, like with the meat at first and doing things that make her uncomfortable in the bed. Like, we kind of see the compromise in the relationship for each other. Like, she's starting to give him the things that she wants and or that he wants. And she's like trying things for him. And he's also, kind of being a better loving husband. And, he's still tending to his tasks. Like, I felt like they're starting to become more of a balance. And then, we get to the end where, again, she plays victim, but then she, laughs about how she doesn't give him any play and talks about the cheating thing in front of the family. And then it just becomes at the end where it's set up that he should take on this role, no, I'm done with this shit. I'm the husband, this leading man role. And, I'm not saying she should be oh, my husband. But, that's what she wanted. She wanted him to be a man the whole film and take care of her. You know what I mean? And then I feel like what ends up happening is she just takes matters into her own hands and he ends up never coming into the fight. He never ends up taking on the challenge. She has the point where he starts having a breakdown. She's like, stop! Your family's depending on you. You need to get up. And she has to give him the pep talk to get up. And it's we were building this whole movie for him to not even need that pep talk. He should have just been able to do his own thing.
Such a bad moment.
Such a bad moment. And it's not I'm not trying to take away from the mom's explosion as a character either. I think it is deserved that, she was going through and she was very her own way and she was playing victim a lot, but she was also trying to be considerate and open up and be a better wife. And I think at the end, it would have just been nice to see them both empower each other rather than him fail to come to the call of duty and burrow in himself and her kind of just take over after that. Because it just felt like they did become a unit more so. It felt like she was kind of the front, she was kind of the engine, and he was just kind of the shell. He was doing things that were helping the group, you know what I mean?
It just felt like you just threw the character aside. And that's where it's really annoying. It's
he still played his part, but his whole arc of a character just didn't matter anymore.
No, and it's annoying because at least I hated her character throughout the entire film. She is the reason that they got into so many situations and they had so many issues is because she kept doing it. And it's just so I get why you then want her to make the right decision. I get why then you want her to have her redemption moment. But then you're sacrificing this character with the dad. And it's just and he literally just gets cold feet and doesn't do a single thing. It's dude, you are the man of the family. You are the father. What are you doing? He just doesn't do anything.
Relatable. And then he wasn't.
And that's what we talked about. And another thing too, man, it's just then you got Brayden said, there's these little moments, man. throughout the third act. Like, there's a moment where she puts acid in the guy's eyes, James McAvoy's eyes. James McAvoy drops his gun, a loaded gun with bullets in it, as we know later on. Why don't you pick up the gun and shoot him and kill him? Why don't you do that? Because
So
you
just
still
run
got
right past it.
exactly.
Even if, bro, I'll be dead ass with you. Even if she picked up the gun and ran away, I would have been more okay with that.
Oh, dude, yeah, she doesn't have to shoot him right then and there. If you want to pick it up and run away, that's great, because the wife is still running around at this point.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
go kill the wife if you want, whatever, because the other guy's dead. The hammer's already through the back of his skull. So here's so yeah, exactly. But why won't she? It's like the same thing with Scream. It's like all these movies, and what makes me so mad is it's not like Scream or like one of those movies where they make a stupid decision. You're like, okay, I get why it serves this purpose of the story. You know, whatever. I guess you have to make the sacrifice. There's no reason in this movie for her not to pick up that gun. I don't see how it like, I don't get it. It led to a better moment at the end, which we'll get to with the son, which that whole storyline I want to talk about later. But
yes,
so a good moment did come out of it, but it's just like, it's stuff like that as a viewer that just takes you out of the moment. This is a big build up to the third act, and there's little moments like that where you're just like, oh my god, okay. And it happens so much. It's like they gain momentum and then they just stop.
Yeah. No, and the only thing I wanted to say is I just feel like it's a point I said to you earlier. I feel like I was expecting like this crazy, like The Shining ending. Like, I wanted it to, like, I feel like they set the execution up, like I said, perfect, where they was play like cat and mouse. You know, it was like Leatherface. Everyone's like going in at different exits. They're trapped. I would have loved to see scenes like they got shot at like twice. There was 2 action scenes and nothing really happened. I would have like, I don't know. I just wanted more. Like, I wanted like a chase and like him like, you know, James McAvoy's character was so aggressive when he like chose to be, and like animalistic. And I would love to see that. And the wife, like, you know, she was talking about how, she's like, take me with you. I didn't want to be with my husband. And then like the next slide, she's like kissing him. And it's like, maybe we see her play more into that. Like, I wanted more of like hiding and then like them walking past. Like, we got one closet scene. We didn't, you know, she stabbed him once when he was trying to break in. Like, I would like to see some fighting. Like, it was paced so good. And like how I said to Logan, the perfect example is it was like blue balls. You know, you're sitting there the whole time. You're getting this feeling, you're getting this vibe, and you're like expecting this, and you're like, oh yes, it's gonna be so freaking good, and then it just never comes. And it's like, and then you're just like, dude, seriously? And you're just sitting there and like, you're just like, what the fuck? And like, I was just mad. I was genuinely just mad because I had this expectation that they set that we were gonna get all this, and it was just right here. And I'm not like, I told Logan, I was like, it's not bad, but like for what they set up, I just expected more. It's not that there wasn't action. It's not that they didn't do a good job of where it was like going. I just felt like you fell flat with a lot of the character story arcs, you know, with how many people that they killed, and that like this big ending that you find out like they've done this to families and families before, like, for them to be the family that escapes and gets away, like, can we get more than that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I don't know. It almost actually felt like a Midsommar beat for beat. That's another issue I kind of have with it. But this is one thing I told Brayden too. He doesn't necessarily agree, but this is kind of my thought. It just felt so freaking repetitive. And I get why. I totally get why, because it adds to the creepiness. You know what I'm saying? It just adds to that, like, oh man, you know it's coming. You know what I'm saying? You know it's gonna happen. When is it gonna break? When is it gonna go? And Braid had to use the bathroom, for example, and he was like, I don't know if I should go now. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know when that's gonna happen, when that snap's gonna happen. He got back just in time, by the way. It was perfect timing.
It was perfect timing.
So there was just like this constant, oh, okay, let's drive back there. Oh, we're about to leave. We need to get out of here. Something really weird happened. My daughter was in their bed. This is weird. Let's get out of here. And then they go back. Like, this is what I'm talking about, man. It's just like,
dumb moment.
It's like, how are you just that susceptible to manipulation? Like, I get that some people are manipulative, dude. I understand that 100%. But like, it just gets to a point where it just gets unrealistic, and it's just like, you just need to leave, bro. Like, once again, if you're in it for your daughter, if you're in it for your wife, if you're in it for your husband, whatever, you need to get out, man. You need to get out. And they for some reason just they didn't do that. And it just, especially like Brayden in the third act with like the thing being up on the roof and all that. It's just like, I would be getting in my car and driving away. I don't care.
100%.
I don't care. The tire's flat, I'm driving off. The bunny's up in the thing, I'm driving off. The kid gets thrown in the water and is drowning, I'm driving off. I'm saving my family. They kept going back, and it got to a point where it just like, I get why they did it, but it was just like, why? Like, I became aware of what was happening, and that's obviously not what you want as a viewer, right? You want to be living in that moment. And I became aware, and it's because of those choices. But like I said, it wasn't like a, why did they do that? I get why. I get why the story needed it to go forward, and it added suspense to it for sure. But it was so repetitive for me that I was like, I was just like, oh, yep, nothing's gonna happen here, and nothing happened.
I get that though.
You know?
I totally understand.
Or like, oh, we're about to leave. No, you're not. No, something's gonna happen, brother. They're about to say something. You're not going.
You're coming.
We're coming right back, brother. So like,
that was the thing. It's like, how much did it take? See, I think that's why it doesn't bother me as much, because like you said, I understand exactly. It all makes sense on why there probably is a dad in this world that would do that. Like, he would do that for his daughter, especially because she's tweaking like that. I get it.
So his wife doesn't cheat again.
Yeah. It just got to a point, like you said, it was just like, are you really going to go? Like, how many things do they have to do for you to finally be like, okay, yeah, that's enough? That's where the wife came into play a lot, where it's like, she was annoying a lot, and she would tweak out over the most minuscule things, but I finally, like, when it was probably time to go, she was the person to be like, yeah, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
So...
Even though but this is what I'm talking about.
Even though but then she brings them right back.
Okay, that's my point. That's my point. And then before that, the dad was saying he wants to go, and then she's, you know what I'm saying, and then she's like, no, let's stay. So this is what I'm talking about. The characters, their consistency made no sense. No sense. He's the one that, you know, he's the one that was kind of weirded out by stuff. She didn't really care as much, and then it just kept going on, where then she just became very, very like aware and being like, I want to go, and then he didn't want to go.
That's where the problem is.
What?
No, that's exactly where the problem is. Not to cut you off, it's just like, you have these two who serve each other in that sense. Like, she makes the choices, he obviously doesn't agree with it, so she always conforms for him, and it's like, what you need by the end of the movie is like him to just stand up and be like, no, this is the decision that we're making, and her just to be confident in that decision as well.
You're right.
You know what I mean?
You're right. That's probably what it needed.
Just because you're setting it up for that.
Yep.
Because at the end, it's like, she's the one that's like making the choices. He's like, no, I really don't agree. And she's like, well, fine. Like, I want you to make the choices. Make the choice. And then he makes the choice. And then like, she backs him up on it. And then by the end of it, she's just like, all right, fuck your choice. And he's just like, you're right, fuck my choice.
And then he's on the ground.
It's like, bro, no way!
Yeah.
You both need to be like, yeah, let's do this.
And then he's on the ground crying about he doesn't know what to do, I'm like, what? This is not this character. It's not, it does, what? Yeah. Listen, we're talking, I know we're diving into this deep. We like this movie. Our scores are going to be higher.
It's just that we see potential that.
Yeah, man. And it's just like, Brayden said it perfectly. Why I feel like what I'm missing as a viewer is that big moment for his character, and we just didn't get it. So
yeah, just a lot of them, because even in general, the only person I feel like story was served was actually the crazy family
and
the kid.
Oh my god, not Art. What's his name? Yeah, the kid. I forgot his name though.
No, I think because it's Patty is the dad, and I think it is Artie. Or no, Art.
I don't know. Anyways,
like the son.
I'll look it up. Yeah.
You know why I really feel, because I was honestly just gonna say the son, but honestly, you know where it goes full circle for me. Maybe I'm just missing something with like our main character family, but you have the kid. Obviously, what we find out in the spoiler, guys, spoiler warning, is that the McAvoy family, they were basically like they had a daughter that like they miscarried, and I guess they maybe originally had a son or they never had kids. And they just made that story up. But they basically would prey on families, and they wanted to have a complete family, like a son and a daughter. So the son actually wasn't their son; it was a son from another family, and they cut his tongue out so he couldn't communicate with people. And so they were basically inviting them over to get the daughter. Um,
Great story. Great story. I love
Great
that. That is
story.
so cool.
Yeah. And so you have it wrapped up in the end when they basically are ready to leave. They sedate the dad. I think this is the logical. This is the cherry on top. This is what redeemed a little bit of it for me. They were all about to walk away after just sedating him and leaving him alive. He gets on top of the dad, and then he was like, "There you go. That's my boy." And I think that's what wraps up James McAvoy's story. Is he just wanted, like earlier when the son comes in, he said, "I just want, like, give me love. I just want you to give me love." And he gives him a hug, and the son really wouldn't give him a hug. He was trying to put the keys back on him. You know what I mean? And I feel like that wraps his story because it's like his son truly became like him. He got that father-son bond that he wanted, even if it was the last moments. And then you have the son who has this whole story. He gets his revenge and ends up emulating exactly who James McAvoy character truly was.
Right.
So it's a perfect wrap up for their story, and I thought it was beautiful. And then you just look at the main family, and I don't know, you're just left kind of feeling like the daughter still never like grew the fuck up. The wife never really like got that. Like the husband never really gave her that, and the husband never felt fulfilled with himself. Like I don't understand. You know what I mean?
I didn't like that, but yeah, his name's Ant, by the way, for
Ant.
Anthony, I'm assuming. But yeah, Ant was yeah, like Brayden said, just it's a great storyline. When they dive into, because like that's one of the what I was talking about earlier. You know the premise of the story because of the trailer, and because of the previews, but you do get those little plot twists that are really interesting. And I wasn't expecting that at all. Like I don't know what it was. I thought maybe that was one of their their actual kid, and there was like they would beat him and do some weird stuff to him, but um but but obviously you find out, like Brayden said, he was part of another family that they killed because he takes them to the basement. You see all the other families, things, and they've obviously done this many, many times before. One cool thing I want to talk about too, Brayden, is the girlfriend of James McAvoy or the wife, whatever, was definitely a victim too. 100%.
Yeah.
I think all that is an actual true thing, especially since at the beginning of the movie, when she takes off her shirt or whatever, and you see the marks all over her side and stuff, like that, just like what happened to the son. I do believe that she was probably one of the first victims of James McAvoy, and she just is brainwashed into this. You know how cults go. It's actually probably a cult movie, just like Texas A&M. And they get brainwashed. Into believing all this stuff around them and thinking that this is normal and okay. So I think that moment when she looked at Angie or whatever her name was, and she goes, not Angie, I don't think it is, but she looks at her and she goes, hey, when she locks him in the room or whatever for that first time, she goes, hey, by the way, I'm a victim too. I was a victim. And she says, nah, close it. And they close it and lock her up in there. I think that's definitely true, and I think she is a victim 100%. Maybe there could have been a cool moment there, but that was one of those logical moments where I was like, oh my God, in the third act. I was like, we're on the right track again, because they looked at her and said, no, we're keeping you in there. I was like, okay, great. That's smart. I would have done the same thing. So I'm glad that they didn't take her out, but I think maybe there could have been a moment while here's my thing with the wife. Once again, now we're really picking for stuff with the negatives, but because I think her death was done pretty well, her falling off the roof. Yeah. But maybe she could have been on the ground dying, right? And she has a moment and it's like maybe a one-on-one moment with her and the wife, and it's like, I was a victim, and there's like a really deep sentimental moment that I think would have been beautiful.
And then she died showing. Yeah, that would have been a lot better.
That would have been emotional as hell. Yeah. But they didn't go that route. Which listen, Jason, maybe would have been out. Let us know. Maybe it would have been. Maybe it would have been too cliche.
Film actors in the dark room.
OIF winners.
Sorry, continue.
No, but it wouldn't have. Maybe it wouldn't have fit. Maybe it would have been out of place. You know what I'm saying? But why not film that scene and then also do an alternate ending, because it was toward the end where they did what they released. Like I don't know. That's just another 6-7 hours of filming. Why not do that? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Anyway, but I just think, that would have added something. If you didn't want it, then just cut it out of the film. But it was a really good moment that I thought of while I was watching it. I was like, man, since that character, I just feel like that's another character that had so much depth to it. And once again, it might have been too much going on because this movie was already, over 2 hours long. But maybe something else there would have been really nice. And like Brayden said to me in the car too, he was like, I actually kind of like her character more than I like the main lady throughout the film. And it's true because she just, I don't know, she just gave off, I don't know, she was just, there was something there to that character that there's layers that we didn't get to. And I feel like that's just something that the filmmakers missed out on. But that's really all my negatives for the film.
Same thing. Yeah. And everything else is, like, we talked about our positives, like, the acting was amazing. The story was amazing. The shots were amazing. It just really, like, first through second, even the beginning of the third act, like the very beginning of the third act was like a 9.5 for me. You know what I mean? It was fucking amazing. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was just really how everything kind of played out, I guess. It's not even the things that happened. I guess it's really just how it played out. You know what I mean? Or I don't know.
It's actually, looking back on it, I can't really point it out either. Like, I think it's just you guys got to watch this movie, and I think we need to watch it again. I think this is a movie we should watch again and come back to see it, like, whenever it comes out on digital, to give our thoughts later this year, because it does feel, because there are a couple weeks where there's really no movies coming out, especially in November, because it's that weird gap between like horror movies and Christmas movies, you know what I'm saying, and like the December movies, so that we might come back one week and review it again and give our thoughts on it, and maybe we might change our mind. Maybe we might go, hey, this is actually not bad. But yeah, I feel like they missed out on a lot of stuff, and Brayden's finally saying what I usually say, and it's, man, it's the missed out opportunities that kind of taken me out of it when it made this movie better, which is not really a fair way to base it. But because it's a lot of our own bias coming into it, but I also feel like it's just the way things played out. Like Brayden said, it's not even necessarily what they did; it's just how they did it.
Expectation they set, and that just never.
Yeah, it just never. Yeah, they didn't deliver smoothly. But yeah, overall though, really like this movie. The acting's phenomenal. The visuals. It just felt like a really professional film. Like everyone did a phenomenal job, on a technicality standpoint. Really enjoyed every aspect about it. The audio was great. Like, it was super loud, and the jump scares that they made sense. Like, everything was really solid. But
when the lights were out and he was singing in the car outside,
that was great shot.
Fantastic scene.
Great scene. James McAvoy killed it. Another amazing performance. I'm down to rate it if you are.
Yeah, I'm ready.
I think you go first.
I'm ready.
Year, or this.
I go ready this year.
This year, brother.
I'm ready this year. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go an 8.8.
I respect that.
I really like the film. It probably would be a high 9, but that last ending just leaves I just need to it's either 8.8, 8.9. I just remember as soon as it ended, I was kind of sitting there feeling
yeah.
You know what I mean? But looking back on it, I am very pleased with it. I can't even remember what was negative about it. So I'll give it an 8.8, 8.9. I'll give it 8.9.
Yeah, Brayden looked at me right after the movie and said, third act was the weakest, right? I was like, yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah, I didn't know if I was tripping or not.
No, it definitely was. And I looked at him, I was like, no, 100%, no doubt. And I think looking back at how I was feeling, yeah, I'm probably gonna give this movie. This seems low, but it's really not. I just think this is a fair rating because I'll go 8.2. The reason I say that as well is even in the first two acts, the wife is just so annoying. There were so many points throughout the film where even people behind us were talking, and they were
serious.
No, even they were like, "What is going on?" She just played victim. Especially with the cheating thing, I was like, oh my god, that's what really got me. I was like, that was the final straw because she was so annoying before that, and she was like, oh, but it's just take accountability for what you did, brother.
Yeah, right.
And so there's just so many moments that were just not great and decisions but the first two acts were really solid. I really enjoyed it. There was this, like Brayden said, this eerie, creepy vibe. Your heart was racing. You didn't know when this guy was gonna snap. The scene I think we need to point out is the scene when they were doing the Cotton Eye Joe scene. It's a great scene. It's in the
Fantastic
trailer and
scene.
the preview, but this is a more extended version. It looks amazing. I love it.
I agreed with like that was another thing that got her. Like she started screaming at him when he was like, "Go to your room, go to your room." She's like, and I was like, "You've never seen someone like yell at their kid to go to their room?"
Yeah.
Like when he threw like the muffin or whatever or the bread at him. Like now I understand, but you know,
Not the
tell him
going
go
to
to
your
his
room. Yeah, that was weird. But no, I mean overall, like on the technicality standpoint, like I said, it's really good. And so I'll give it an 8.2. I feel like I want to give it more, but I just remember sitting at the end of that film going like this is a type of film
Yeah.
that's built up to the ending.
It wasn't like ugh. It was like
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're built. It's a movie that builds up to the ending. It's a suspense film, and when you don't hit on the ending, like I feel like it should have, obviously takes away from that. But yeah. So 8.2, 8.9. You get we're both in the 8s. You guys let us know what your thoughts on the film
8s.
are. Go watch it. Let us know, baby.
Watch it, or you're missing out.
Yes, sir. And give this video a like, comment, subscribe down below for episodes every single week. And everyone watching the movie review, go check out the full episode. Why not? Check us out
Do it.
every single week,
Do it.
baby.